Hi, welcome to your channel Versatile for You. My name is SN Ali, and in this video we will learn about Python functions. So this is our lecture number 8 of Python tutorial, in which we will learn about Python functions. So let's start it. Functions in Python. Python function in any programming language is a sequence of statements in a certain order given a name. When called, those statements are executed, so we don't have to write the code again and again for each type of data that we want to apply it. This is called code reusability. So there are some types of functions. Usually there are 4 types of functions: user defined functions, built-in functions, lambda functions, and recursion function. So in this video we will learn each type step by step. So first we will learn about user defined functions in Python. So there are some advantages of these functions, user defined functions. So what is user defined functions? So first, for simplicity purposes, we will divide this lesson into 2 parts. First we will learn about user defined function in Python. A user defined function let us a group of sequence of statements into a single entity called a function. A Python function may or may not have a name. We will look at functions without a name later in this lecture. So what are advantages of user defined functions in Python? This Python function helps divide a program into modules. This makes the code easier to manage, debug, and scale. And it's implement code reuse. Every time you need to execute a statement of statements, sequence of statements, all you need to do is just to call the function. So the Python function allow us to change functionality easily, and different programmers can work on different functions. So defining a function, we can define a function just by using def keyword. So let's start here. So there are some rules for naming Python functions. There are same rules as the rules for variable. It begins with alphabets and underscore, or rest of its word are alphabet, underscore, or digit. Reserved keyword may not be chosen as function name. So these rules are similar to that rule which I told you about, the identifier and variable naming rules. So let's define a function here. Open up Spider or PyCharm. So here write def keyword. So def is used for define. So here I am going to define a function. So for example, I write here hello. So hello is the name of function, and bracket and then colon. Now I have defined the function. So now here I want to take input from user. So here I use string. The input is in string, and enter name. So now I use print hello plus string name. So this is our function. Now I am going to call it. So just you have to write the name of function and bracket just for call it. So now run it. It will show enter name. Here if I write sn, so it will join hello and name, my name. So write hello sn. So there is no space between hello and sn. So here I use space here. Now run it. Now I write. Now enter, like this. So this is functions. This is the first user defined functions. So there are some parameters of functions too. So for example, we can also, sometimes you want a function to operate on some variables and produce a result. Such a function may take any number of parameters. So let's take a function to add two numbers. So here define another function's name as sum. So here I use two parameters, a and b, here like this, and here I print f, and in curly braces a plus b in curly braces is equal to a plus b, and string closed. So now f means to bring these a and values of a and b into this. So now we sum it. Sum is equal to, now we call the function. So the function is made. So now we have to call a function here just by write sum and the values of parameter. So here the parameters are a and b. So now here I have to write the values of a and b. Here if I write 4 instead of a and 6 instead of b, so it will add these two values. So first uncomment it, comment it like this. So now run it. So it will show like this, 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. So now there are two functions. First function is hello and the second function is sum. So now if we define, if we just call the first function hello just by this and print, so it will print the whole function, enter name. So this is used when you are working on a program and you need to run a function, so you don't need to make a new function every time. You just make once a function and call it again when you need it. So Python return statement. So a Python function may optionally return a value. This value can be a result that is produced on its execution, or it can be sometimes you specify an expression or value. So let's perform it. Now it. So here I define any function. For example, I write here like this, a is the parameter 1. So here I use if else statement. If a, here I use percentage sign is equal to 0. So return 0, else return 1. So if this statement is true, then it returns 0, otherwise it returns 1. So now print function, name of function, and here I use 5 instead of a. So now run it. So now run it. it's not working. Here if we just call, yeah, like this, print function 1, here I use 5, so now run it. So it will show 1 because this statement is false, so it will show 1. So it's mean it a is divided by 2 or not, properly divided by 2 or not. So as we know, here 4 is properly divided by 2, so the remainder is in 0. So it's mean, so now run it, it will show us 0 like this. So we can also, let's do another example. For example, define a function, for example function like this. You can use on name, but not the built-in name of reserved keyword are not used as the function name. So here I use eval. Eval means it either float or integer. So here I use enter any number. So now if I here, if a is equal to 0, and then print f number a is even, else print f number a is odd, and now call the function. So now run it. There is syntax error. Yeah, this is error. Here I write 2 double quotation and here I write single. So I have to use same type of quotation on both sides. So now run it. Invalid syntax. Here is problem. Where is the problem? Define a function. Yes, it's right. It's also right. If else. No, we don't use this. Yes. Now run it. So it show enter any number. So here I write any number, so it will tell us it's odd or even. It show the number 12 is even. Now run it again. Here I use 19, so it shows number 19 is odd. So now this is calling a function. So as soon, for example, you call the function to call a Python function at a place in your code, you simply need to name it and pass argument, if any argument, then pass it. Let's call the function hello or whatever you have named the function that we define in section. So now scope and lifetime of variables in Python. So a variable is not visible everywhere and alive everywhere every time. We study this in functions because the scope and lifetime for a variable depends on whether it is inside a function or not. So now we will discuss scope. There is two type of scopes, local scope and global scope. A variable scope tells us where in the program it is visible. A variable may have local or global scope. What is local scope? A variable that's declared inside a function has local scope. In other words, it is local to the function. So for example, here we do an example of local scope. For example, here we define any function like this. So now x is equal to 7. So x is a variable. So this is the scope of this variable is local because it's inside the function. So print it x. Now call the function. So now run it. It will print as 7. But local scope, in global scope, when you declare a variable outside the function or anything else, it has global scope. It means that it's visible everywhere within the program. For example, here if you use this variable outside the function, so it has global scope. Now run it like this. It print as 7. So if you declare variable outside the function, so you can call it anywhere in different functions. But if you print it in the function, if you write the variable under the function, so it is just between the functions. It is not used anywhere else outside the function. So here is also lifetime of variable. So a variable lifetime is the period of time for which it resides in the memory. A variable that's declared inside function is destroyed after the function stop execution. So the next time the function is called, it does not remember the previous value of that function. So as I told you, so now deleting Python variable function. So just you can delete the Python functions by calling delete del variable. So for example, here I del f function, just like this. So now call the function. So it has been deleted. So no function is defined. So you can also delete the function here. So this is about user defined functions. So now Python built-in function. So in previous we have seen range of built-in function by Python. This Python function apply on constructs like int, float, etc., string, tuple, set, dictionary, and so on. Refer to those lesson to revise them all. So those are the Python built-in function, as I told you. So Python lambda function, as we said earlier, a function does not need to have a name. A lambda expression in Python allows us to create anonymous Python function, and we use the lambda keyword for it. The following syntax for lambda. For example, here I write anything. For example, here I write my where it's a variable. So now here I use lambda like this, lambda. So now a comma b, now colon, here I use a, here static sign for multiplication, b, and now use plus 2. So now print the variable my where. So here pass arguments of a and b. For example, 3 comma b, 3 comma 5. 3 is the value of a and 5 is the value of b. So now run it. It will show us 17. 3 multiplied by 5 is equal to 15 and plus 2 17. So it is if it is used for multiplication and for many calculations like this. So at last there is Python recursion function. So a very interesting concept in any field. Recursion is using sometime to define itself. In other words, it is sometime calling itself. In Python function, recursion is when a function calls itself. To see how this could be useful, let's try calculating the factorial of number. Mathematically, a number's factorial is like this, and factorial is equal to n multiplied by n minus 1 multiplied by n minus 2 and so on, 2 3 to 1. And so now let's try a code for this. So here define any function def. So here I use factorial now here n is the argument I passed parameter. So here I if n is equal to 1, then it return 1. So now return n multiply by factorial n minus 1 and print it. Print facto. Now here I pass any argument. For example, if I want to factorial of 5, so here I write 5. If I want factorial of 6, so I write here 6. So now run it. It will tell us the factorial. 120 is the factorial of 5. So this is some mathematical uses also here. So you have to understand the code. First I define the function, then I use if statement. If n is equal to 1, then return 1. So then this one is multiplied by n minus 1. So for example, if I write here 10, so it will show us the factorial of 10, means 10 multiplied by 9 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 7 and so on to 1, and it shows the result 632880. So this was all about recursion function in Python. And so mostly the user defined function is used in Python. So this is all about Python functions. I hope you like my explanation. If you would have any problem, so you can discuss me, you can put your queries to me in WhatsApp group that I had made for Python for beginners. So meet you in the next lecture. Take care. Bye.